And we're live.
And we're live. I wasn't sure if you were going to come back. You're sneaking.
That's the craziest pre-show.
Oh, I know.
And it was the shortest pre-show we've ever had.
It was good stuff.
Hello, everybody. We're professionals.
Is that Max or?
That was Max. Welcome
Max.
to The Right Spotlight. I'm Kellen Ann.
Brian Monahan.
And we're here to talk books.
We're here to talk about Steve.
He's been quiet the whole time, right?
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what's up with that? He's like, show has started. Hello, everybody.
I'm here. So welcome to The Right Look, the show where we interview. So that coffee is not Steve, our guest. That's the dog. Okay, let's try to start this over. Okay. Hi. Right. Welcome to The Right Look. I'm Kellen Ann.
The Right Look? What show is that? Is that your other podcast, The Right Look?
I don't know where that came from. It was a hair salon in Grass Valley. Why don't you try it?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Right Spotlight with Brian Monahan and Kellen Ann.
And we interview authors, old and new, and all types of authors.
Why did you say old? I hope.
Well, I mean like they've been authors for a long time, and then there's new authors that just
new, not young authors, old and new authors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not age, because an old author could be 15 if he'd written 20 books.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry about the coughing in the background.
It's going to be a coughing show, by the way.
It is. So.
Well, I think we should bring Steve on. I mean, let's not.
Do you want me to introduce him a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead and
Hall of Fame speaker,
Hall of Fame.
Major motivational king. His new book, Conversations with Bob, is what we're going to talk about today. This has been a passion of his for years, and he's going to tell us a little bit about how long it took him to write it, a lot of his process, which I think would be very valuable to our listeners. And he was also a stand-up comedian, and at the height of his career, changed his path and turned into a motivational speaker. So, without any further ado, Steve Rizzo.
Motivational king. What am I, Elvis?
Yeah. I'm having trouble with words today. Okay, so just back off.
This is what we're going to do today, folks, man. I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to give you some inspirational messages, man. I'm just saying.
This is going to cost us a fortune, Kellen. I mean, we're going to have to pay him for this today. So.
I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid.
Oh, Kellen didn't tell you?
What a ripoff!
Okay. That's how our pre-show started, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we started off the pre-show with me doing my Gilbert Gottfried impression. The first time I got to really know him, excuse me, we were performing at a comedy club in New Jersey, one of the best comedy clubs in the country. It was always voted the top 3. It's called Rascals in New Jersey. And I used to end my act, what would it sound like if all the cartoon characters in the world were at an orgy having sex? And I would kill with it, Snagglepuss is going, haven't stomach-a-troid. I think I got an erection, and I'm going hard as one. And Bullwinkle would go, hey, looky, watch me pull a prophylactic out of my hat, and you can take one because I'm hung like a moose. So I do this whole bit, right? I kill with it, get a standing ovation. Gilbert Gottfried comes up after me, and he goes, I just have to say right now, I love Steve Rizzo. Anyone that can take a childhood cartoon and turn him into a porn star is my friend. So what he does my whole act over. Every cartoon character that I did, he did. And what pissed me off is that he did it better than I did. And Oh, no, I'm just saying that's just the type of guy he was. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. And I hope I didn't get too dirty for your.
Oh no, absolutely not. We've been too clean for too long.
Yeah. Now we've broken that wall.
I mean, we're gonna have a whole new audience, Steve. We're taking it up a notch. So.
Oh, cool. Well, cool. Well, now that we got that out of the way.
Well, thank you for being here because we know you're not feeling well, but
Man, I am just, yeah.
We would not know the difference, though. I mean,
no.
you brought it, so
trust me, I know the difference.
You know the difference.
You are a true performer.
I'm suppressing my coughing as I'm talking to you now.
Well, you can cough because Gus is in the background coughing. They won't be able to tell who's who, so we just blame it on Gus.
That's good. That's cool. It's good to know that I have competition coughing with a dog.
No, it's a cover-up. It's a cover-up. Come on.
Hey, another person stealing your act, Steve. You know,
yes. The dog.
It happens often.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we need to talk about Conversations with Bob. I mean, you've written multiple books, but this was the project of your life, wasn't it?
This is that's the mission. That's why I was put on this planet. Mm-hmm. It took me 7 years to write.
Right.
I started writing it 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Actually, it took me 7 years to write. I wrote it at the lowest point in my life, which is not the coolest thing because I'm an inspirational speaker and I'm supposed to have it together. And I was going through a divorce after 34 years. It was my decision, and that was the hard part. That's the part that was destroying me. And I went in to a depression, and I told my ex, I said, I'm moving to California. And this is how it happened. I actually woke up one morning. My house is on Long Island. I woke up and I looked at her, and I already told her I wanted the divorce. And it was hard because I was still living there. And I just woke up one morning and I said, I got to get out of here. And I talked to her in the kitchen. I said, I'm moving to California. And I couldn't even believe I said that because I didn't have any plans. I just said, I'm moving to California. So right then and there, she thought I was losing it. And I thought I was too. And I said, I need to be by myself. I'm sorry. And she was devastated. And I called some friends. I said, I need to move, and I got to move within a month. So they got me a place. I rented a place in Marina Del Rey, and I lived there for 2 years to face my demons, to find out what the hell was wrong with Steve Rizzo. And it was the most challenging thing in my life because I was still speaking. And there I am on stage and telling people how to get their life together. And I felt like such a hypocrite. Would you want a lifeguard, to save you that couldn't swim? You know what I mean? That's the way I was looking at it. So one morning I exercise every day, and I was working out at a 24-hour gym, which was near Venice Beach. And one morning it was about 4:30. I did my routine, and after my workout, I decided to take a walk on Venice Beach. And that's when I lost it. I mean, 100% totally lost it. And I started cursing at God. And I started saying, what the hell's going on? And I'm screaming. If anyone would have heard me, they would have definitely dialed 911. Although in Venice Beach, that's pretty normal. But it really is. So I sat down in the sand right off the shore. And I got up, I controlled myself, and I dried the tears, and I took a step, and I said, what the hell is wrong with me? And what the hell am I doing here? And I heard something within me say, you know what's wrong, and you know why you're here. You're just too caught up in your own drama to find the answer. And I was like, where the hell is this coming from? So I took another step and I asked another question. Answer came immediately. And I kept walking and asking questions. And every time I asked a question, another answer came. I said, I'm onto something here. And I get into my car, I'm still talking, and another answer is coming to me. I go to my apartment in Marina Del Rey. I took out my laptop. I type in another question, and then another answer, another question. I was there for hours. My body was exhausted. I let go. I went into my room. I fell asleep. I must have slept for like 9 or 10 hours. And when I woke up, I turned on my laptop and I looked at what I wrote. And I swear I didn't remember writing half of what I wrote at all.
Wow.
And then I just kept going. And then after a while, this was a routine. And after a day or two, I said, oh my God, there's a book here. There's a book here. And then my imagination set in. And then my sense of humor set in. And I just said, this is a book. And that's how I got the name Conversations with Bob, because Bob is God. And by the way, folks, how he gets the name Bob, you have to read the book to find out, but it's pretty funny.
It is.
So it took me 7 years to write, touch and go type of thing. And I finished it when I came back home on Long Island. And it's the best thing I ever did. It's the best thing I ever did. And I think what really made the book really successful, though, is my ability to connect with people, whether it's through a book or through my presentations. My two greatest gifts that God gave me was my sense of humor and my ability to tell a story. But the other gift that I had that I really wasn't aware of was my ability to become vulnerable to my audience and let them know that shit happens to everybody, and this is what happened to me. So it's the combination of those three things: my sense of humor, my ability to tell a story, and being vulnerable. And as a result of writing the book, I think the impact that I now have with the audience is more powerful than ever, because I am being vulnerable, and they're looking at someone who's on the stage who's there to help them. And I now know that there are people sitting in that audience saying, oh, man, holy shit. If this guy, after what he went through, can do what he's doing now, maybe there's hope for me. And that's the whole message. Yes, there's hope for everyone.
I think you left something out very important. I learned about you as we've become friends over the past 3 years is you've been trusting your intuition, because you didn't just push this book out and get it done and try to get it published. How many times have we talked over the past 2 years or a year and a half?
Oh, yeah.
You're like, wait, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. And I think that's so important for authors to really realize that they need to listen to their intuition, their inner self.
Well, that was,
you're right. A living example of that.
No, and thank you so much for saying that, Kellyanne. And you're right. That's why it took me 7 years, because there were many times when I thought it was finished. And Bob, who is God, I heard it. No, you're not. And I'm like, holy shit, what do I have to do now? And
yeah, but then it always comes to you, doesn't it? Like what the heck?
It's because it was like my Archie Bunker would come out like, oh, geez, what are you stopping me now for? Oh, whoop-de-doo. I'm going to find something else why Steve Rizzo's fucked up. Thank you. Thank you, dear Lord Jesus. So that's exactly what happened, though. And I would wake up, and that's another thing that was so annoyed with God at Bob, because every time he woke me up at like any time between 2 or 2:30 in the morning. And I'm like, geez, can we be like normal people?
Well, and then you would call me. And then you would call me forgetting it's California time. So like it'd be 10 years time. I'm like, what the hell, Steve?
And I'm like, well, don't blame me, blame Bob. And every time he was right. And I never knew what it was that wasn't finished, but I knew whether it was an experience I was having with someone or a presentation that I gave that was something for me to learn from, whether it was friendship, whether it was the closeness I have with my grandchildren and my son and my daughter-in-law. There was always another lesson, and that lesson was somehow implemented in the book. Mm-hmm. And after a while, you just say, all right, you're right. I'll know when it's ready because you'll tell me when it's ready. And one day I realized it was ready, and it didn't need a lot of editing. Although I did have a few editors that did a scrupulous job on it. But What I like about the book more than anything else is that you could read the book from cover to cover, or you could just start at any chapter, and each chapter is a lesson within itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people that have this book and they tell me they have it, they leave it on their nightstand. And before they go to bed, they'll read the high points to remember that are on the edge at the end of every chapter, which that was Bob's idea. Bob's high points to remember. It highlights every chapter. So people would read the highlights. There you go. Thank you. People would read those highlights before they go to bed, and they would do the same thing in the morning. Some people tell me that they would open up the book in the morning before they get out of bed, and they'll just turn to any page and read a page and a half or 2 pages, and that's it, and walk away with something. So, but that was all Bob's doing, not mine, you know.
Well, I wouldn't give Bob credit, but you also give yourself credit for allowing it to come through you. You had
but I don't want to piss Bob off. That's why I did.
I wouldn't.
Now, does Bob ever talk to you in alternate voices?
What's that?
Does Bob ever talk to you in any character voices? Or...
Yeah, all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. Bob talks to me like Edith Bunker. All right, this is what I want you to do now. Okay? And I'm like, oh, geez, there's the thing right there, you.
So what do you think is your most important chapter in that book? I know they're all, but you need to, if you had to like just choose one.
2. When Bernie meets Bob. Mm-hmm. And at the last chapter, the L word, which is love. And that's the whole thing. But what I love about the book more than anything, it's just the dialogue between 2 characters. Mm-hmm. Your inner Bob and your inner Bernie. Your inner Bernie, everyone has an inner Bernie. Inner Bernie resides in the negative zone. Mm-hmm. That's like the do not enter zone for your hopes and dreams, where challenges get blown out of proportion. And with Bernie, problems turn into emotional havoc. Bernie just can't understand why his life isn't working on any level. But then you have Bob, good old Bob to the rescue. Bob is of your higher nature, your true self, your authentic self, the part of you that always brings out the best in you when times get really tough. And another profound part in that book is that when Bernie meets Bob, he's very upset and he's pissed off, and he says, you didn't answer my prayers. And he goes on this emotional tantrum, sobbing, why didn't you answer my prayers? I believed in you. Do you know what it's like to have all your friends, everybody else in your inner circle get what they want? And no matter how many times you try, you keep failing over and over again. You never answered my prayers. And there's a lull in the book. And, Bob goes, whoa, that's pretty heavy. And then Bob pauses and he looks at Bernie and he says, I did answer your prayers, but you pray with the same woe is me attitude that you have about every aspect of your life. And yet you expect a miracle. And Bernie jumps up and he starts pointing a finger at Bob. He goes, of course I expect a miracle. Isn't that your damn job? Isn't that what you do? So Bob, very calm, is very cool, says, Bernie, have you ever heard the saying, God helps those who help themselves? And he says, yeah, I heard it my whole life. And he goes, well, apparently you don't know what it means. You have to meet me halfway when you pray. You have to meet, I could only do for you for what you're willing to do for yourself. You cannot pray for peace of mind and then get in your car and start cursing at everybody in traffic. You can't pray for success and expect for it to happen. And all of a sudden 2 weeks go by and you hit a challenge, which you inevitably will always do when you're setting out to achieve a goal. You're going to have challenges, but you blow them out of proportion. And yet you expect the prayer to be answered. You squash the seed possibility of your prayers every single time. And that's why you're always starting at the beginning, because you don't know how to pray. And in this book, he shows them how to pray.
I love that you're not pushing spirituality, religion.
Nope.
It is, you give us the tools to seek and find our higher power, whatever it may be. And I love that that's what I love. I think the most about the book. So
What I like about it too, and this is not me boasting, it's Bob.
of course.
What I like about it is the camaraderie
Mhm.
that Bob and Bernie have. And I got to tell you, when I wrote the last chapter, I was sobbing.
Oh, I bet.
I was sobbing because the love that was pouring out of me was, I don't even know where the words came from. Well, I do. Bob's going, yes, you do, moron. It's me. Yeah, the last chapter there were other chapters that did too, but that last chapter just sums it all together.
And you
Yep.
picked the best quote. You picked your greatest power is to show love, receive love, and be love.
Yeah.
And you picked the Oprah Winfrey quote. I love that quote. So it was like so appropriate for that chapter.
Yeah, and you know, the book is getting really good reviews. It's not anywhere where I know it's going to be. That's just a matter of time. And Kellen, you've helped me tremendously with your ideas, and that one in particular that you came up with, which I thought was brilliant. And but yeah, it was a trip writing it. I still read it. I still read it before I go to sleep and when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I love as you talk here. You're definitely, God's talking or Bob's talking to you as we go here. Like it's like it makes me feel like, hey, that book really I could connect with it because you're totally in tune with Bob right now on the broadcast here today.
He's in tune with Bob.
It's wild. Yeah.
24/7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel it. I mean, I love that you just interrupt yourself immediately and say, "Oh, Bob just told me that."
Yeah. Oh, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what else I'm starting to witness. Kellen, and I spend a significant amount of time by myself. My choice, and I love doing that. Although sometimes it takes its toll, but I'll go walks through nature and I'll have conversations with Bob, and I'll be talking and I've learned so many life lessons, and I'll give you one example that happened to me last year. I was walking through this gorgeous park, which is near my house, and I love trees. I talk to trees, and I get this picture audience going, well, I was going to buy the book. Now that I know the guy's a fucking maniac, I don't think so.
There's a fine line between genius and maniac.
So I'm talking to this tree, and it's gorgeous. It was a beginning of spring, and I said, Bob, this is a wonderful masterpiece. Thank you. And I go to take my phone to take a photo of the tree, and I heard Bob say, "You're kidding me, right?" Well, I heard this. Oh, geez, you're kidding me, right? Yeah. And I said, What? He goes, I can't believe you're doing this. There you were having a precious moment of something that I created. And what did you do? You distorted that moment by taking out your iPhone and taking a photo so you could experience something in the future, totally negating the emotion you had in the moment. Put the phone down. And I just went, wow. Well, and boy, we all fall victim to that. You let that moment go, that feeling. You only have that it's a glimpse. And what Bob is saying with every facet in all of our lives, suck in the moment, man. Suck in the moment and embrace it and hug it and just let it take over you. But today, more now than ever, we are so into quick fixes. Look at TikTok. I think it's destroying us because people just want 10-second things. Okay, that's enough. I need something else. Okay, that's what's happening to our brains right now. That's what's happening. We are we're subjecting ourselves to this 10-second stuff, and there's no time for people to communicate anymore. I talk to a lot of young people now, and they ask me, they want me to mentor them. And as I'm mentoring, I gotta go, hey, look at me,
Mm.
focus. Who I'm talking. Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah. What are you looking at? I was just saying, didn't you see the shirt that guy had on? I said, I'm talking to you now. You're not going to have this moment later on. What did I just say?
Mm.
So I'm only saying this because we're living in a world that's moving so fast that we are letting sacred moments go by. Parents do it with their children. I know they have to take care of their kids and they have to get themselves ready before they go to work. But when your little boy and your little girl is saying something, look what I drew, or look what I did, or they're doing something funny, and you're going, that's good, honey. And you're thinking about you have to get your cup of coffee and be at Starbucks because the line's going to be too long. You'll never have that moment again with your child. And these are Bob's reminders to us, And that's why people go to bed at night and they can't believe why their brains are so distorted with so much crap. It's because they're not giving themselves a break. We have become obsessed with so much with trying to make a living that we've actually forgotten what it's like to live.
Mm-hmm.
To really enjoy the simple things in life. So that, and that this book did this to me,
Do you ever get upset that Bob keeps talking to you? Like he's not giving you
I
a
argue
break?
with him all the time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks he's funnier than me, but he's not. He's not. I know something's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean,
we're on and off. Exactly. I am going to be creating T-shirts, Kellen, and I'll get you guys one. Bob Almighty.
Oh wow.
Bob knows. Stuff like that. Give it to Bob.
Give it to Bob. Wait, I'll probably be designing them, huh?
I have one for myself that I'll be getting soon. I'm Bob's greatest gift.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
I am just, the book released me from the prison that I was in.
Mm.
And it made me realize one of the things I learned from Bob after my divorce, because I love my wife, she was great, and could be another show in itself why I left. The main reason is that I knew there was a higher part of myself that wasn't being acknowledged, and I knew it wouldn't until I journeyed on my life by myself. I just knew it, and so that's where I am right now.
We need to add bravery to your list of words because that takes a lot of guts to do that.
Oh yeah, and said Bob's words came right out of my mouth when it was Debbie Bettendorf, when I was on the phone with her. It's the first time I met her, the first time we talked on the phone after I saw her on Ken Wall's Academy, and we talked, and she said, she asked me a question, and I said, Deb, all I know is what I learned the hard way, and that's the only way you can learn something like this, is that sometimes doing the right thing could be the most painful thing you could ever do.
Mm.
And that came from Bob, and it's true, but in the long run, it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things I learned from Bob: suffering, feeling your pain, admitting that your life isn't working. A biggest mistake a lot of people make. That's when my brother Michael passed away last year. You remember that, Kellen?
Mm-hmm.
I was smart enough to know not to hold back my grieving. He's the biggest inspiration of my life.
Yeah.
And never hold back. Allow yourself to feel the pain, because suffering is part of the healing process. And we deny ourselves that gift, and suffering is a gift, but it can become a deterrent and a curse if you say to yourself, I can't cry. If I cry, I'm never going to stop. You might feel like you're never going to stop, but you will stop. But if you hold that back, it will come back to attack you and haunt you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically in the long term, years later, maybe. Because you hear parents say that, I got to be strong for my children. Yes, you do. But one of the strengths you can give your children is acknowledging the fact that there are good times in life and bad times in life. There are times when I am going to lose it, I'm going to cry, and I'm going to hug you guys. And you're also going to notice that there will be time for laughter too. There's going to be time for that. Kids need to know from the get-go that life is tough. It's filled with a lot of heartache. Don't wallow in it. Don't focus on it. But they need to know that. You can't coddle them. Life is going to be tough, but it is also beautiful. It is also wonderful. And there also are sacred timeouts. And one of those gifts is that Bob gave to Bernie is to unleash the power of your humor being. Humor is the great bounce back factor. It replenishes your spirit. It nourishes your soul over and over again. But a lot of people don't want to go there. You don't know what I'm going through. No, I don't. But I do know that if you keep holding back, that you're hurting as much as you are. So, but those are all choices.
I have a question, Steve. I met you kind of through the pandemic, and so I think you were kind of knee deep in this book by then, and I saw a little bit of your vulnerability before you actually published your book. Have you always had that vulnerable piece? Has that been a part of you? Were you able to show it?
It always has, but I hid behind it with humor.
Yep.
Now I don't need the humor as a mask, so to speak, or as a shield. It's important to be vulnerable. I do that with my grandchildren. Yeah.
Well, I think, I'll be frank, I actually have seen you prior to you even knowing me, because I'm in the event industry by day, and you've spoke at some conferences we've worked and things like that. And, you got a strong personality. And so I have this impression, you're macho man, this or that. And then when I get on and meet you in person or through Zooms, I'm like, wow, this guy is he's super sensitive. He's got a heart. And so I think it's, you got this like tremendous dichotomy of like how you show up and what you really are. And I think that's like really powerful, because it's like you show the yin and the yang all at one time. So
I think as a speaker, if you really want to make a difference in someone's life, you better be able to tell your crap and what you went through. And I know, and I'm mentioning any names, very well-known inspirational, motivational speakers that have gone through some shit that they don't want to expose to their audience. And I say, why? And they say, I don't want them to know that part of me. I said, well, then you're cheating them and you're cheating yourself. They said, how so? Because, as I said, I believe I alluded to this earlier, there are people in the audience experiencing the same type of crap that you are right now. And if you're telling them that you went through it, and they're looking at you as the ultimate success story, they've got to be saying to themselves, if he can do this, so can I. That's the best teacher. That's the best. There's nothing better than that. I think that's why I'm so successful as a speaker, is because I'm not reading a book and then spewing out the information from the book that I read to the audience. I'm spewing out shit that I learned. My inadequacy, the lack of belief I had in myself, how I sabotaged my comedy career. My roommate was Drew Carey. I had very close friends who were incredibly famous, and I was sabotaged. Chris Rock opened for me. Drew Carey opened for me. Rosie O'Donnell opened for me. Sam Kinison opened for me.
Didn't Woody Harrelson nominate you for something?
Woody Harrelson nominated me as a Showtime Comedy All-Star. He introduced me on my Showtime special.
Yeah.
And he brought me up, and this is what he said as the introduction, because this is pretty cool. And then I'll get into how I sabotage. Do we still have time?
Yeah, we got plenty
of time. As you want.
So
we're embracing the moment.
I'm at the Sands Hotel in Atlantic City. It's not there anymore. They took it down. with my Showtime special, and the night before we're doing a run through with a live audience. Okay, but it's not the main show. The main show is the next night. So Woody and I became pretty close. And he comes into the green room. And before he walked in, I'm going through my mind. Wow. I was voted least likely to succeed in my senior class in high school. And look at me now. I'm starring on my Showtime special. So as that's going through my mind, Woody comes in and says, "What do you want for an introduction? I'm going to be bringing you up soon to the practice crowd. What do you want?" I said, "You tell them." And I looked right in his face and I stood up. "You tell them that you're bringing up a guy that was voted least likely to succeed in his senior class in high school. And now he's at the Sands Hotel in the big room with his own Showtime special. Please welcome Steve Rizzo." Woody Harrelson said, "Fucking cool." And that's how he brought me up. That's how he brought me up. But I tell people this story. I really was voted least likely to succeed. I was told by a guidance counselor that I wasn't smart enough to go to college when I was 14 years old in front of my mother and father. And the sad truth, Brian, is that I believed him. Because my mom and dad believed him too. They thought he's got to know what he's talking about. They're from the old school. They were great parents, but they didn't know. He's got to know what he's talking about. Look at his title, guidance counselor. If he doesn't know, who does?
Right.
So not only did I allow this man to tell me what I couldn't do, I allowed him to tell me what he thought I should do. And that type of negative labeling molded the direction for a great part of my life. I did go to college 6 years after high school, graduated with high honors, went back to the same school that I graduated from. I became an English teacher, then a counselor for kids with behavioral problems. Then I left and became a stand-up comedian, headlined comedy clubs for over 25 years, theaters, colleges, TV stuff. And as I said, my opening acts, Chris Rock and all these people, they opened up for me. And then there was a point where I started saying, why are my opening acts getting the big breaks? How come opportunity isn't knocking on my door? And I realized it was. I was afraid to open the door. I had a fear of success and failure. My negative labels came back with a vengeance. So even though I was successful, what most people thought, I was afraid to go to the big auditions in California. That's the only way you could make it. You got to audition. And when you audition, you're at a premier comedy club, and in the audience are nothing but industry people, producers, actors, directors. That's a lot of pressure. And I was avoiding, and I had management, good management, that was saying, there's an audition for a sitcom. You got to be there. It's in California. I got your ticket. And they said, I can't do that. I'm supposed to be in Omaha, Nebraska at a comedy club. And they're like, fuck Omaha, Nebraska. We're going to take your place. But I kept doing that. You see, this is what I was doing, Brian. This is what I want your viewers to understand. I was hiding behind this mask because I kept thinking it was more important to be a big fish in a small pond than a minnow in the ocean. And so
it's safe. It's safe now, right?
And I was considered the best. I was considered one of the road warriors of comedy. Steve Rizzo can perform in any club in the South, in the Midwest. That could be an all black crowd. It could be all this crowd. It could be all that. And he will kill every time. And I knew that. And that was my ego taking over. And I was happy with that. I was a star doing that. But the fear of going on in front of industry people where they can tell me I'm not good enough, smart enough, worthy enough, that was the guidance counselor talking to me all over again. That was being voted least likely to succeed all over again. That's what happened. So I decided to go on a quest. I was very angry at myself. That's where anger can be one of your greatest catalysts. I was really pissed off. And for years, this took years. I went to spiritual seminars, motivational seminars. I went to Tony Robbins seminars. I got to know him. And a major shift started taking place. And the belief in that I had in myself was incredible. And that's when the entertainment industry really started taking notice. That's the way the law of attraction works. But here's the irony. I was no longer interested in them. and I had this calling to become a motivational speaker. So I left stand-up to do what I'm now doing.
All because of an airplane ride.
Well, because right.
So, so Steve and Callan, hey, this is not the first time we've heard somebody have a guidance counselor actually propel a career. It's crazy. Everybody we've talked to so far, Steve, you know, hey, what happened? Oh, I had this guidance counselor.
Right.
I mean, we might need to retrain guidance counselors in the US or across the world. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I can only imagine. I've had some similar scenarios, and it's like you got that label on in a bag over your back, and you carry it with you forever. I mean, and you know, I think, you know, where does Bob intervene on that beach for you and say, you know, you're going to drop that label? I guess I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other catch, though, and this is what a lot of people don't get, and that's a good point, Brian. Bob's there. But you have to allow Bob to come in. Bob helps those who help themselves. You have to be
that intuition.
And the thing is, a lot of people don't know this. People go their whole lives and they die.
Yep.
You can't fix something unless you know it's broken.
Right.
People are broken and they don't know what's wrong. And you can't fix it. They just know something's not right. And this is the way life is. Life isn't right for me. Everybody else has. And apparently I don't deserve it. And that's why you have these people and you have these people and you have these people. And but once you become aware that, wait a minute, you know, because it's the awareness that sets you free.
Yeah.
My life isn't working. Right. But then you go, why? That's the first question. And then you start investigating why. And you will be surprised on how the answers just come. They just come. And you go, holy shit, that's how it happened. Oh my God, that's how it happened. I did something that I don't know of anyone that ever did this. I call it time traveling. Carol-Ann, I don't even know if I ever told you this. This was one of the most profound things besides writing my book that I've ever done. And it took a lot of emotion, spiritual strength. I call it time traveling. This is when I was living in my other place. And what I would do is I'd sit and I would meditate. I would stay in my room for 2 days. And I only left to get something to eat, use the bathroom, and I would meditate. And I would get into this zone from a memory in my past. And I'd always, for some reason, this memory started in first grade. I never went to kindergarten because when we moved from Brooklyn to Long Island, I was too old to be put into kindergarten. So they put me right in first grade, which was the beginning of all my problems because my mom and dad never taught me 1 and 1 is 2. 2 and 2 is 4. The ABCs, they never taught me how to write, nothing. So this was my first impression meditating and what I call time traveling. I'm sitting there and I felt this jolt and my first grade teacher tapping me in the back of the head with a red pencil in front of the entire class saying, "What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?" Over my shoulder, breathing in my face with this red pen. "This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. You should know this," hitting me on the head in front of all. I could think of this now. I get emotional thinking about it. But the blessing is this is where the shit was coming from. And then I would let that go after a while. And then I would see myself interacting with friends. And I was very athletic as a kid, but it took a while for me to prove how athletic I really was. And I went from first grade to second grade. But the beauty in time traveling is I also found out my gifts. In third grade, I had a teacher that was a theater person. She loved the theater. We had 3 plays in third grade, and I starred in all 3. She brought out my talent. This woman, no taps in the head with red pencils. All she kept doing was hugging me, telling me how much she loved me. A third grade teacher telling me that, just grabbing me like this and telling me how much she loved me, bringing out more of my talent I think you can do that better, Steve. Do it. Just let go. And I trusted her. So she brought out my gift, my comedic stuff. And then in fourth grade, I had an old teacher that reminded me of my grandmother, my father's mother, who absolutely idolized me. And this woman did too. And at the very end, and I remembered all this through time traveling. In fourth grade, this old woman who reminded me of grandmother, when it was the last day, the very last day of school, and it was her last day teaching, she asked me to stay after, and she held me, told me that I'm special, and she was crying while she was doing it. And I remember that. So there's a give and take with this time traveling thing, and I choose to learn from the negative shit and the good stuff, but I am really embrace the good stuff. And all of that is fodder for me becoming this speaker that I am. So, and we all go through it, but you can't fix it unless you know it's broken.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna go frank. I'm gonna be in the moment right now. I mean, you're just waking me up here, right here on the on the show today. Recognizing
with you. I didn't go time traveling.
All right.
Look at Kellyanne's face. Of course I did.
No, I mean, I want to get off the podcast and dig into my past now. I mean, I'm recognizing how much I haven't. Nope. I'm not talking about last week, Helen. I'm a little bit further back.
You don't want to wallow in those times.
Yeah.
Though, when you do,
No.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to wallow it. Well, this was a conversation that I didn't expect to have. So,
me either.
Well, it was a pleasure. Absolutely a pleasure, man. And buy the book, folks. Conversations with Bob. That wasn't me. That was Bob.
Kellen, I think you might be muted.
It's because Gus was coughing and I forgot. Here, I'm talking away. Blah.
Yeah, I thought you were trying to talk. So
no, I was just saying some words that came up to me while you're talking today was trust, humanizing, intuition, and fear, and vulnerability.
Yeah.
And that's like those are very important aspects of being an author, in my opinion. I think it makes your authenticity. Those are big words for authors, I think. And you are the epitome of that.
Yes. I mean, I don't think I've had anybody more authentic in front of me at one time. So.
As my cold gets the better of me.
No, we appreciate your time today. And like we said, you order Conversations with Bob at yourinnerbob.com, right?
Yourinnerbob.com.
Yep.
Give a review on Amazon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There we go. Hey, we do have one question for you, Steve, before we let you get off. Is we always ask authors to give us one thing that they might have done different or recommend for the emerging author.
Yes.
For an author from how
would if somebody was in front of you and they need a tip as an author to get started or whatever, what would you recommend?
Start writing. Don't get caught in the trap. How am I going to get a publisher? How am I going to get it edited? How am I going to do this? And what chapter should I have first? And don't worry about organizing. Don't worry about chapter 1, chapter 2. Don't worry about a title. Don't worry about anything, because all of that can change as you're writing anyway. Just write your feelings. What are you feeling right now? Answer yourself. I'm feeling this. Write it. And keep writing and keep writing and keep writing. Don't be afraid to change. And then all of a sudden, as you're writing, you go through these piles and you're going, okay, then you start separating. Okay, these two can go over here. This will be over here. And you know what? Maybe I'll call this chapter 1. And then all of a sudden you might realize, no, chapter 1 might go in the middle somewhere, or vice versa. But the biggest mistake that people make, and this is the thing that keeps them from writing, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Step 1 is start writing. You can't do anything else until you start writing, because that'll just keep you in a trap.
That's fantastic, Steve.
Yeah,
Really appreciate it.
we're at 100%. Every person we've asked that question, it said something. Don't wait. Start writing. Don't wait so long.
Well, it's so it's just so true. But you could talk yourself out of it also. Not just in writing a book and following your dreams. Well, how am I going to get there? One step at a time. One step at a time. Acknowledge the first step that was taken. Say to yourself, wow, it's a step one. And then you go to step two.
I love it.
Yeah.
Best advice.
Okay.
Well, Steve, we thank you for joining us today and giving us just a rocking show. Kellen will be sending you a check from her. Yes. She's taking care of the fee today. So
I should hope so.
Yes.
Yeah. She's got to cover.
Make it up to Bob.
Bob, okay.
Bob nudging me.
Thank you. I know you didn't feel well, but you were amazing today. We appreciate you.
I am so glad I was able to get my ass up from the couch and just say, we got to do this, let's do it. So,
well, Bob got you here, so we appreciate Bob.
Thanks for getting him here, Bob.
Brian, a pleasure seeing you.
Likewise.
Kellen and I love you, and we'll talk soon.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Steve. See you soon.
I almost said thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
That's fun. Yeah. Talk to you later, guys.
See you soon.
See you, Steve. What an amazing man. Is he amazing? Motivational.
Oh my gosh. This was
so lucky.
I mean, I just, when he said be in the moment, I was like, wow, this is a moment right now. Let's take it in and just enjoy it for what it is. So
I know I just love him. He's one of my favorite people. So
no, I appreciate, obviously I met Steve a few times through you, but not at this level. So I appreciate you bringing him.
Just be glad he doesn't call you at 6 a.m. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, that only happened when I lived in California because he completely forgot about the time change. I mean, hello. Guess what? And I'm like, what? But we also have to. I also have to let them, like when you posted this on LinkedIn. You promoting your book, which you need to do more often because it's an amazing. And this truly is one of my top 3 favorite books. Customer Delight.
Thank you, Kellen.
So we need to promote yours. I have mine if you want it.
Well, no, I found something here that's fun just to show, where we came from. I was here.
Oh my gosh. You have that.
I found this when I was, I am working on cleaning my basement. So this was an book title. See, even where Steve said, you don't even need to know the name of the book. You start off with book title.
Oh my God. I forgot you had that. Oh my God. Happy memories. Oh my gosh.
Oh, but look what it has on it too. It has a card that from Kellen's work. So
that was so fun. And the other thing about what I think we forget to tell new authors is have fun. This is supposed to be exciting and Steve is spot on with it. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment you make the title. Enjoy the moment you create your table of contents. There's so many moments to be enjoyed in putting your book together. And I think people forget about that.
And the other thing is, he said it about speaking and speakers on stage. And I think it applies to your book. When you don't share your wisdom and share your insights, you're cheating people, and so when that idea pops in your head, that's Bob saying, hey, I got an idea for you, write that book. And so you have to, that's the name of a book. One of our,
that's our guest on November 4th.
November 4th. Write that. Let me pronounce it correct. That book, Michael Heppel. So,
I'm so excited. Like I get so excited about all our guests because they're all, we're trying to make this very diverse and, different topics and styles. And so we talked about Debbie Bettendorf. During this show. Look what I write. I write my notes with her pen, with her pencil.
Our guest list is very circular.
So she's our guest next week. So have you met her?
I've not met her personally, but I actually think I saw her on a show with Steve and Eric Bam when they were on the show together. And that's when I first learned of Debbie Bettendorf. So
she has her own show on Wednesdays. That's I was on her show, I think a month or so ago, but I think I was my best interview. She's like, she may end up interviewing us. So just be prepared.
That's okay. We'll go for it.
And then, I didn't bring my books. My books are in a crate over there. But then the 28th, we have Barry Selby, and it's 50 Ways to Love Your Lover. So he's a relationship coach. So we're hitting every little.
Yeah, we're a little bit of everything.
So that will get you through October. And then November, it's still in the planning stages, but we're having a British invasion. So all of my British author friends, your mutual British author friends, and then that'll be an exciting month.
So are we going to drink tea on that, or are we allowed to bring coffee to the show?
I was going to say Irish whiskey, but that's Irish. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, aren't they tea drinkers?
Yeah, this is bourbon though.
Oh yeah. Well, you didn't.
No, I'm kidding. It's coffee. We'll have tea. We'll have tea. Yes. So thank you everybody for watching. Please let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching this on the replay, let us know. Tell your friends. Subscribe. Have I left anything out?
Yeah, go over to the rightspotlight.com and you can sign up and then click over to our YouTube page. So that's where you find us. The Right Spotlight, spelled WRITE. Right.
Very fun.
So, yeah.
Which I stole from you. Didn't know it.
I stole it from somebody else, I'm sure, too. So
we're good. Yeah. So yeah, we will see you next week. We're gonna try to start at 10:10.
We may want to just say, well, if we say 10:30, we'll be starting at 11:45.
So we're starting between 10 and 10:30.
Yeah. I mean, why do we have to start on time? Nobody's really tuning in till they get that prompt and it fires up anyway. So
yeah. Okay. Well, we don't. I don't know. I really like that 10:10, but it hasn't worked.
Well, as long as we get it in sometime on Saturday.
Yes, we'll see you Saturday.
See you Saturday.
All right, everybody, have a great weekend, and thanks for tuning in. And we will see you next week.
See you next week.